All right, common question when picking a topper, what kind of topper to go with. I get this one a lot, so I'll go ahead and put it here in a video. Hopefully this will be helpful. You know, do I go with what we call a form, or do I go with something that we call a function? Well, if you're trying to pick a topper, there's not such a thing, in my opinion, as one size fits all. Everybody needs something different. Like you have these, and then look at this one really quick. Then you have this one where it's a little bit taller, it's a little bit different, got windows, got a vent. This door right here is a little different than the others. The thing's a little bit wider, right? So there you go. Now let's go back to these and talk. What are the pros and cons to these two different styles? Well, right here, let's jump right into it. The reason why I call this one kind of form is because it looks nice and sleek and clean, but there are some pros and cons to it, right? So right here, my truck bed's here. Look at this space that I lose, right? It comes in, and everybody who has got one of these and has moved a lot of stuff, you know that if you throw a dresser in there, you know, a snowblower, anything, you know, pick something, you throw it in there, oftentimes if it's long, it runs into that door, right? Same thing here on the sides. You've got this, right? You got your truck bed in here, and then you got this comes up straight, and there's that distance right there again, right? All that space. So what is that in totality when you check it from one side to the other? You lose a lot of that interior space. Now that's fine, you know, if you're just wanting to cover the bed and you get a little bit more space inside than a tonneau cover, just wanting to cover the bed, no problem. You want it to be clean and sleek, do that. But if you're wanting to mount anything on this in the future, you can see this one had a rack on it. Looks like it must have been leaking inside. Anyway, it had a rack on it. But what is this material? If I'm going to upfit this into the future, I'm going to end up dealing with stuff like this, right? Where this right here is fiberglass. The strength in this fiberglass really is in that plywood up there on the roof. The sidewall here really is just thin fiberglass and resin, right? That's completely fine. But if you're going to want to do some upfitting in the future, building this thing out, then you put stuff on the top. Where is that load transferring, right? Hopefully it transfers into the bed, but structurally this is kind of weak in the corner for a top weight. So it transfers that here, and then you get racking, you know, the moving back and forth going down the road. This snaps, this starts spiderweb cracking, right? And usually anywhere else you do a penetration, you lose your strength here in this corner. Very, very, very common. So I know that lots of folks successfully build these things out and use them for a bit, but it's very rare that it's for the long term. I know that there are plenty out there who do it for the long term, but it's rare, because once you start mounting stuff onto it, you find the limit with this particular style, right? Then on a unit like this, well, on the back you gain all that space right back. Okay, this right here is your typical topper. That's about cab height. This is a little taller than cab height. That's how we do it anyway. We got 25 inches here on the inside ceiling, so it's about 4 to 5 inches taller than this one, and so you gain all that interior space right back without looking much larger, right? It still relatively looks the same size once it's on the truck, but it's just a little bit bigger. So you gain this space, right? You gain that right back, and from there to there, that's quite a bit of space inside. You can see that's about 8 to 10 inches there on both sides. So that's a lot of space inside. And then the same thing here, you have your truck bed sitting here, you gain that space right back. So then next, if I want to put anything on it, because this is a fully framed structure, I have this rack. I don't even blink an eye at putting 900 pounds up here. In this case, this is a rooftop tent that's going to be going up there, but your load is transferred straight into your wall and then straight into the truck bed, right? Super strong way to do it. Then you don't have to put penetrations up on the roof for some sort of rack. Most of the racks that go on these have some sort of roof penetration. This is a sidewall penetration, and it's behind a nice big plate, so it's not going to actually fail on you. The fail rate is incredibly low. Next, water management. So, well, before we go to water management, the doors here, you can get a nice side door in here without changing much to the structure, right? You have a very strong unit that even when you have side doors, this thing's going to handle the racking and the moving and tweaking and twisting, right? It'll handle that even with a bunch of weight up here. So it's a little bit, again, function over form. Now, some folks like the sleek and tight fitting and contoured to the pickup truck, and that's fine. If that's the type that you want, if it's more about looks to you, go with that thing. Those are good toppers. But if, again, you want to have outfitting or have flexibility into the future for more things that you can do with the unit, and it's going to outlast those things that you're doing with it, you'll probably want to do something similar to this. Like on this one, this will end up having a batwing awning. Sometimes I don't know why that term always stumps me up, but a batwing awning to where it will end up coming around the corner, or an awning on the side, and that gets bolted to the rack, and it's just a little bit taller than you would have with this, which is a little bit nicer in a campsite. It's not too tall to where you can't reach it, but it's a little bit taller to where you can actually move underneath there. A good tall guy can move underneath there, or if you need to slope it or whatever for the rain, you're not going to have to duck underneath it as much. Next, you can be insulated, and it doesn't bring the sidewalls in. This particular unit is already fully insulated, doors and everything, as much as can be, right? For being so small and having a bunch of structure points and windows and stuff, it's nice and insulated. So you don't lose interior space because of the way it's built. It's got a 1-inch thick wall here and a 2-inch thick ceiling. So then water. What about water? Water is a pretty big deal. In this case, if I open a window in the cold, right? Or I mean it's cold out here, that's why I said in the cold. But if I open a window and it's raining or whatever, that is going to come in to the canopy because this thing is sloped, right? So it's going to drip inside on the gear. Same thing here. These tend to fail over the years. It's pretty common for these to leak. Right here, when those fail, the water goes straight down, right? It goes on inside on your gear. This right here is pretty common. I mean, really common. Those of you with toppers will know. You can see it's buckled a little bit right here. So water's going in there, right, as well. It's not just coming in the door. The wind catches it or something and it tweaks that hinge, or you accidentally run into something a little bit. Pretty common to have this broken here and then water leaking. On this style, this has a drip rail all the way around, right? All the way around your perimeter. So then the way this ducktail, we call this a ducktail, the way it's done is it changes how that air goes around the back corner. So when it comes around the back corner, that water, a lot of it's shed, but the way the eddy works is it gets in here and down, oftentimes below hinge line. But if water does get in, you can see it's vertical and it's going into the tailgate area rather than inside on your gear. Same thing on the sidewall. Again, you got this nice big drip rail, but then here it sheds most of it, but then when it does come in, or go down the wall, it's running vertical. Then on this particular setup, the door's closed. This particular setup right here, if water does get in around this corner, this is here specifically to help shed water, but then it goes in and you got this long lip that stops it, and then it runs along here and it drains out, and that's what all these are notched out for, right? Is so water can get out. But just stuff, you know, there's pros and cons to every build. Personally, I think that this particular style kind of grows on you as time goes on because it's more of that rugged overland type look, but these are also nice too. So really, guys, there's all kinds of stuff you can do. There's not one size fits all. Everybody needs something a little different, but decided I'd make a video on that because I can't tell you how many times I get asked that question. So yeah, anyway, cheers guys, thanks for watching, catch you on the next one.